you need to submit the claim and then at least 45 days.
Nuevamente son 45 días para que ustedes entregan la documentación y ya, pues, después de eso ya pueden usar la documentación.
May I go over here first? I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
Well, if, we have everything, all papers and everything, will they, send to those who have all their paperwork?
In general, I think having a complete set of paperwork is helpful. But can we come back to that in just a second? I'd like to go over the claim form, and that might help answer some of these questions.
Va a regresar ahorita a esa pregunta.
Any other process related?
Tenemos una pregunta acerca del proceso antes que. Yes.
If the submitter connects an individual, and the IID says, yes, you have an evidence, whatever, we get a check. And we have someone else going to want to do a class action suit, does that delete us from the class action suit because we're the IID?
Bien, la pregunta de la señora es que si hay una demanda por una persona, si hay un arreglo y hay paga lo que se pongan de acuerdo, si eso excluye a esa persona de posiblemente participar en un class action suit, que es una demanda grupal de un grupo de gente por un solo evento.
I apologize. That would be legal advice.
Okay, that's fine.
Y no puede contestar esa pregunta, es un legal.
You're not in it. You're not in it. I wouldn't do you like that.
I'll take my tongue out.
You can if you want to.
For the damages, and you can no longer pay out for the damages.
I think a good point is there's information also on the IID website that you can find out. It's just simply different from the website, so you're just sort of there back.
La recomendación que está haciendo Jen también es que hay información más específica disponible en la página web. Ustedes pueden atender y revisar.
Tengo una pregunta. Yo fui al sitio de la página electrónica y solamente está en inglés. ¿Se ha cambiado eso desde hace poco?
Yeah, she said that she went to the web page recently and she found that all the information is in English. She wants to know if that has been changed or if the documents changed.
I don't have an answer.
What happened is that it says go to Spanish, and he said vaya al español. Pero nomás el título está en español. Only the title is in Spanish. The explanation is still in English. El texto todavía está en inglés.
So, voy a decirlo en español, creo que básicamente que no hay una traducción en español, ¿verdad? En la parte, en el contenido, específicamente en la parte de las leyes, es algo que vamos a investigar y yo les puedo decir que si es algo que no hay un link. Normalmente nuestra página tiene un link que te traduce en español el contenido de esa página. Si este en particular no está, es algo que tenemos que arreglar y muy
Sometimes there's a hyperlink at the very bottom of a web page. You could report that. That sounds like a web development thing. You know what I mean? Like, and then they might be able to fix that if the language didn't transfer all over. Oh, I'm sorry. My fault.
We'll follow up.
There's a question in the back.
Are you going to go over what a proper claim form looks like and what kind of paperwork should be attached?
Yes, did you get a copy of what was passed out earlier? I think that.
Who needs the?
Yeah. But I will in a moment after we're done the process, I'm going to go over the form.
La pregunta es que si va a explicarnos cómo llenar la forma, cuál es el proceso adecuado y la respuesta es sí. Ahorita llegamos.
My glasses, I know I can't read.
I own a whole block in Niland. The whole block is one claim, one form, or the whole block?
We same owner, same person. To you, it's not multiple different businesses. You give all that information in your title form, that will be.
So, la pregunta del señor es que él tiene una cuadra completa que puede dañar. Son muchas diferentes propiedades separadas. La pregunta es, ¿tienen que hacer una sola para todas o tienen que hacer claims o peticiones individuales? La respuesta puede hacer todo.
If it's the same.
Si es el mismo dueño de todas las partes. Si son diferentes dueños, obviamente tienen que ser separadas.
Okay. I had some work done on my property. I had 17 heaters and fans in my property. My electric bill went to hell. I called the two guys. They said, you pay. They're gonna take care of my electric bill for the 5 days that they had all the equipment in there, working on that house that we did destroy. And now I just went into the bar and restaurant. It's mud everywhere. And I haven't had anything to do trying to get that solved.
Lo que está aportando, señor, es que después del evento, para hacer el secado de las propiedades, tuvieron fans para estar secando la propiedad. Quiere saber si esa electricidad que se consumió es algo que es reclamable por parte de IID.
I can't answer that question right now, sitting with you. And I understand there's individual issues. In this forum, I can't get into specific each claim, and that's part of this process. I apologize, I understand that you need more information, but.
So, la disculpa hacia señores que no pueden dar respuestas individuales a cada uno de ustedes. El objetivo de hoy es venir a explicar el proceso total, ayudarlos y facilitar cómo hacer los reclamos y ojalá darles esas respuestas.
Can he attach those bills to the claim?
And I want to get to that question when we get to the actual form, because a lot of that will be answered.
La petición es, si nos dan chance de que termine su presentación, muchas de las preguntas que están haciendo probablemente van a ser contestadas cuando lleguemos a ese punto.
Yes, sir.
So this sounds great, and to fill out this form, but I know someone's gonna be responsible of going over the form, right? Are there gonna be people that are gonna go, for example, go to the home? Or how is the procedure gonna happen? Because this is one thing, but if we go and see the home, it's different. Who's responsible for that?
The level, whether that is needed or not, depends, it's a case-by-case basis on each. And I'm not just talking about, when I talk about planning forms, it happens in every area that you can think of. There's accidents that happen, and whether or not a site visit is required depends on the review.
La pregunta del señor es que llenar el papel es una cosa y que va a haber gente que va a estar leyendo en IID, obviamente, evaluándolo. La pregunta es, dice, ¿alguien va a ir después de esto a revisar que efectivamente esto pasó en mi propiedad? Y la respuesta del señor Jeff es decirle que depende de caso por caso. Si obviamente es algo que procede y hay un proceso de investigación, y si es algo que de entrada no procedió, pues obviamente no hay necesidad de ir a la organización. Entonces, va a ser caso por caso.
I think there's a question.
I heard you about the site visit, but we're allowed to include video and pictures with this claim form, correct?
Because this has come up a couple times, the short answer to that is include everything you think is helpful.
So, ahorita va a hablar un poco más de eso, pero nuevamente la comisión de la señora dice si podemos poner fotos, video, cualquier media, y la respuesta es claro, entre más documentación, pruebas tengan que pueda sustentar su petición, les va a ayudar en su caso.
I think the lady in the back had.
If we're gonna be turning in videos and stuff, is there a way to, how are we gonna be turning these in? If they're pictures, it's just scanned in, but if it's videos, how do we send videos and stuff? And are we sending in the actual hard copies, or are we scanning them in? Or like, what's the
Format.
process of getting it to you, so you guys can ultimately say that didn't happen, so we won't start a lawsuit?
So I imagine if you had video, whether that be a thumb drive or email, that we would figure out a way to make that happen. And you should, if you provide something, you should receive an acknowledgement that it came in. But that's just something that doesn't come up that often. Usually photos or someone prints them out. Sends them.
A la pregunta del formato, si tengo que mandar un video como lo hago, lo más seguro es que vas a tener un thumb drive, un medio de memoria que se pueda presentar y obviamente vamos a facilitar cualquier cosa que sea necesaria.
So currently then, no digital,
You can submit what if I really quickly just move to the next section, go over
And
that.
then more questions after.
Vamos otra vez.
So, every one of you should have a clinic form in front of you, either in English or in Spanish.
Todos
If
ustedes
you
deben
don't,
tener un formato ahorita, ya sea en inglés o en español.
and if you don't, we can get you that
Si
translation.
no, avísenos por favor.
The top portion, the clinic form is meant to cover every minimum requirement of the government funding.
En la parte de hasta arriba es muy importante porque sirve para cubrir el mínimo requerimiento legal para que procedas su formato.
You're not required to use this form,
No tienen que usar este formato a fuerza,
but if you don't have all the required information,
pero si no tuvieran toda la información requerida,
it gets rejected without being reviewed.
se van a ser rechazadas sin ser revisadas.
But if you fill this out correctly,
Pero si la llenan bien,
you'll meet the requirement.
van a cumplir lo que necesitan.
So the first part is the claimant's name.
La primera parte es el nombre de la persona que está haciendo la reclamación.
Do your best to put on the right name.
Hagan lo mejor para poner su nombre legal.
So, and if you're the homeowner, that's great, but if a business owns what you're submitting, you should use the business name.
Fíjense bien, porque si usted, la casa, si supone que está el nombre de ustedes, usen su nombre. Pero si es un negocio y está el nombre de alguien más, no usen el nombre de ustedes, porque eso ya es bases para que no proceda.
And it needs to be filled out and signed by you or your lawyer.
Tiene que ser llenado y firmado por ustedes o su abogado.
You can't have somebody else fill it out.
No pueden tener nadie más que se lo lleve.
I'm getting some questions.
On the top, are you supposed to put your name and then what do you put after IID right there? On the top part, blank just hereby make.
So, and there's actually the form that's here, I printed out, forms, but there's another English version, they all work, I think what you have. It's, this line, if you have this form in front of you, it's this name here, and if there's a particular
So that's
IID,
our name?
the first name up here is your name.
Okay.
And then after IID is if there's an employee that you think was involved in the injury, you
La
put
primera
that.
línea es solamente el nombre de ustedes o el dueño de la propiedad.
No pone mi nombre.
No
Okay,
pone
no
mi
put
nombre.
either on center on the line. Thank you.
Okay, the car that I'm driving, the one that all of but it's registered to my son, but it's my car, because he just paid the tax and my license plate is on it, but the tax is there.
So I would say, the owner of the car, and
What
then
is it?
that's as far as, beyond that, I can't tell you. But I'm telling
You
you,
can't
the owner-
legally, you can't legally.
I can't.
No, he can't give you the advice.
Oh.
So what you need to do is, if you think that you're entitled to something, put it on, put it there.
Si ustedes sienten que están, que tienen que, le quieren hacer, pónganlo, pero asegúrense bien que sea la persona que sea la dueña legal. Ya sea, si es un vehículo, como dijo la señora, que sea el registro, sea el nombre de esa persona.
So the next few lines are your contact information. Please make that legible, that's how we will contact you.
Pero pongan, por favor, bien claro y legible su número de contacto personal.
The next part is the date of the incident. I have a pretty good idea, I know what's gonna be put down in it. But the purpose of that is, remember, this has to be submitted within 6 months of the incident. That's why that date is important.
La fecha también es muy importante, todos sabemos cuánto fue, pero pues, son 6 meses que es importante que lo hagan en ese tiempo.
Then the next line is the location of the incident, where there was an injury. Sometimes that's at a person's house, so they check the box, but if it's somewhere else than where you provided in here, you need to list that. The location of the incident.
La siguiente es la locación del incidente. Tienen que asegurarse, por favor, de poner la dirección exacta, lo más específica posible para poder identificar cuál es la propiedad. Muchas veces son propiedades que están aledañas, pegaditas, entre más específicos puedan ser en cuanto a la locación mejor.
The next one is probably the most complicated.
La siguiente va a ser la más complicada probablemente.
What you need to write in there is what happened, and that includes why IID is signed.
Van a tener que poner, donde dice qué es lo que pasó, ahí es donde deben ustedes poner a su modo de ver por qué consideran que IID debe culpable.
There were a lot of questions about photos, bills.
Nos mandaron ahorita muchas preguntas de fotos, de videos.
All of that is part of what anybody submitting a claim needs to put in as much information that they think is important.
La recomendación es que cada vez que pongan su petición, pongan la mayor información que sea posible.
And you are not limited to this space.
Y no tienen quitado nada más ese espacio, si necesitan más espacio,
You can use as many pages as you feel is
pueden
necessary.
usar todas las páginas que sean necesarias para exponer su caso.
So I have a question about that section. So we all know that our property got flooded and we had to have companies come in and suck out like 12 inches of mud. Are we putting on there that it was because the canal broke or what? Do we need to put that there?
The two parts are, what happened, but part of that
Right, we know we got flooded, but I'm saying for the purposes of y'all paper, you guys gave us these for a reason, so obviously there is some type of culpability or liability. So what do we put in that part?
So let me be clear about
Because
that.
I don't want to get rejected.
My presence here should not imply to you that that there is a dog. It should.
Well, that's just like if you come on my lot right now and you trip on something in my yard, I can say that I'm not liable all day long. But it's my property, and I'm responsible for the other. So what did we put on this paper?
La pregunta señora es ¿qué pongo en esta parte? ¿Qué es lo que ocurrió?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Why are we here?
I appreciate everybody, this is a very emotional topic. And I realize that people are on edge and everything. But we have to conduct this meeting in an orderly manner. I don't mean any malice toward us, anyone. I just want the meeting to be held in an orderly manner. We don't have any cross talk. If you want to be addressed, you must raise your hand. If you break these rules, after 2 times, I will ask you to leave. So I know that this is a very, very sensitive subject, but we have to keep these orders. We have to keep the meeting in an orderly manner. And I appreciate everybody coming and everybody's interest. So let's work together.
So it's still a valid question, sir. What-
I understand.
It's valid.
But we may have to, answer some of these questions legally you can't answer. So we'll have to
So what
come
we put in
together.
that
We'll
part
have
of
to
the
come
paper?
together and get the right answer.
Okay.
Okay, so make a note of it, so that when we all come together, we can get the right answer for you. Okay? Because he's not in a position to legally answer some of your questions. Okay? So please, if you have a question that's not answered tonight, make a note of it and let me know. Okay? Yes, sir?
Okay, so what I'm saying, just because you're here doesn't mean that, you're acknowledging that it was a fault, but it was here to help us out,
Right,
correct?
right.
So there's, okay, so that makes more
Okay.
sense, so you're not claiming that they're
We're
responsible.
not taking their responsibility, we're helping you with the process.
Yes.
And this is legally understandable, I hope you understand this. And so they're trying to help you as much as they can. But they have legal responsibilities. And you have to understand, if you can't get a clear answer, please come back, make a note of it, and come back to us. Come back to the board, and we will help you with
So
that.
do you know what that answer is to the second part of that question? Because I was asking a serious question, I wasn't being rude or funny.
No, I know it, and we will come up with the right answer.
There is a right answer. And we do know what that right answer is.
So what do we put on?
I'm not in a position to answer that tonight.
We all wanna know the answer. She's asking.
Yeah, how do you put on, what do you put on the paper? If you're gonna turn the paper into your file, then you need to know what you're doing.
know what to put on.
Okay, the damages, the first part. Look,
Please.
everybody feels, if you ask me, even though I'm here, but I do blame fault the IID. That's me personally saying. So if you feel that the IID is responsible because they are in charge of the canal, of the maintenance and the upkeep, then yes, you put that in that application. Same thing I'm gonna do, which is what I think everyone can do. But then again, you're your own person, you get to fill out the way you want. They can't answer that, because it's the same way if you go to the courthouse and you don't have an attorney and we send you to the access center, they say, well, how can we fill out the form, but we can't tell you what to put. It's the same thing because they're not an attorney and they are not representing you. They're just telling you what, how more or less to fill out the form, you know, what the process is.
If anybody has questions when this is over, I know that there's a couple people that'll be off to the side, that if you wanna come over and talk, we can, to the best of our understanding, we can work together further than what they're doing right here, because it sounds like this is not what, I mean, we know our name and our birthday, but how do we actually describe what happened to us in a thing so it's legally seen? So I'll be available when it's over, I'm sure I'm running back there, anyway.
So this is actually to address you. We are in possession of videos. This is not addressing you because I understand your sensitive position. We are in possession of videos that show that the IID did not open the siphon gates at the beginning of these torrential rains, which would have definitely helped mitigate the flood. It would have prevented, most likely, the lower canal or Highland Canal from breaking, which is why Niland flooded. We also have verbal testimony of at least 2 workers that are currently still employed with the IID that have given us testimony that the IID has some regulations they are supposed to abide by, as cleaning out culverts and taking care of, I think it's called flood pools or something, that they neglected because traditionally we don't have much rain here. No blame there, right? When does it ever rain like it did?
They didn't have a good bus, but they didn't go out.
So what I'm saying is, those are the accusations that I personally, I have to say what I'm gonna do, put on my form why I blame the IID for some of my damages, because they didn't do those 2 things. I'm just gonna accuse them of that because my personal gathering of evidence points toward that. And we might have to dive deeply into that, meaning we might have to get sworn in evidence of those employees that are giving testimony that the IID in fact did not do their flood mitigation properly as they are required to do by rules and regulations and codes and whatnot. And we might have to just show the videos that we have, some of us have, that show that those siphon gates were not opened when they should have been opened.
One more thing, as far as I understand it, the more people that fill out these forms that were in this incident, the better chance we have to be heard as a voice. So there was another question earlier. If you were affected or know somebody that was affected, everybody should be filling out these damn forms. All of them.
Okay, let's continue on.
So we are almost done. Again, that section is about what happened and why IID would be liable. The next section goes to damages. That's when you list what damages you have.
La siguiente sección es acerca de los daños, que es la que especifica cuáles son los daños que ustedes estiman que tuvieron por el evento.
And then you sign and date it, include any information and attachments that you have or believe supports your case. And at the bottom, I think on the form I provided, if you're using this form, please get one of the other forms. This has a PO box on it. You can submit it by mail. The other forms have a email address that you can email it. And then there's a telephone number there as well, that if you're looking to submit it in a different manner, you can give them a call and get that.
So, dependiendo de la forma que ustedes revisen hasta abajo, deben tener una que tiene el email. Si tienen una que nada más tiene un PO Box, también es válida, pero les recomendamos que tomen el email porque lo pueden entregar de ambas formas, como quedamos. Una es por escrito, que es por el P.O. Box, la otra es emitirlo por vía electrónica. Necesitan la que tiene la versión del email.
Does it have to be a licensed contractor, for an estimate to submit with it, or it can just be some kind of estimate?
Para la evaluación de los daños, están pidiendo si tiene que ser por un contratista con licencia o puede ser nada más una aproximación del valor de los daños.
No, I would say, when you submit it, you get an estimate that generally shows the amount. What happens in other matters, we get general numbers. We believe this is, and if it proceeds further, we do drill into those numbers a little bit more.
La recomendación es obviamente pongan la información más correcta posible, pero no necesariamente tiene que ser una cotización formal de alguien con licencia. Ustedes pueden poner un estimado en base a lo que ustedes piensan y sientan, y obviamente en el paso cuando procede, que ya se hace una investigación, en ese momento ya se evalúa cuál es el valor real de la red.
So as long as your name is on the IID bill and you prove that that's where you live, it doesn't matter if you're a renter or owner, you submit your claim, correct?
Correct. It has to be, if you have damages, at the end of the day, the damages that you're seeking, let's see something, the person submitting the claim must have the damages to them or it. So that's the answer.
Oye, si tu nombre está en la cuenta de la IID, obviamente eso te identifica como la persona propietaria de la
I have two questions over here, then I will call on you. Yes, sir.
Okay, said I own a field, I have crop on it, but I'm part owner. So if I file a claim, me and my partner have to file a claim.
I'm not going to answer your question directly, but I will say that each person that believes they're damaged has to file their own claim.
Can I say this?
That's all.
So a great majority of, a lot of the damage was also taking place in Slab City. How do we file out these builders claims out?
How do people in Slab City fill out the claim?
Claims.
You mean regarding an address? How do you do it now?
Well, we all have addresses that we made up for the most part.
Well, that's kind of probably what I would do.
Just doing everything, so.
And make sure you put a phone number, so we could, but maybe mention that in the.
Should we put our lot numbers, or should we put like, because we, a lot of it's private property also, and so they have parcel numbers. Would that be like the way that?
Helpful, helpful, parcel numbers will be helpful.
La pregunta del señor es que en caso de Slab City, que pongan la información, si tienen el APN, el número de propiedad, y cualquier cosa que pueda ayudarnos a identificar específicamente la propiedad de la que está tratando.
The one thing I do want to mention, that number one, we want to be able to get a hold of you. So however we get a hold of you, however
Muy importante es, nosotros tenemos que, en ese documento, tenemos que tener forma de poner en contacto contigo, así es que teléfono, email, por favor, no dejen de poner bien claro que tenga acceso y que revisen con frecuencia.
But if we're talking about property and someone owns it, there must be a way to describe ownership of property.
Yes, sir.
So, number 6 seems to be really ambiguous to me. Has IID put out an official statement of what happened? Because I only know what happened at the property I'm on. I don't know what happened at the back end of the house. I don't have time to go out for witnesses and video evidence. I don't know. Has an official statement been put out by IID about what caused this?
I am not aware of an official statement being put out by IID regarding September 1st.
So I would just be speculating on what happened. There's no water came over what happened.
Well, I think we put in there as much information as you can. Certainly, when these matters, not not everything settles through a claim, and when claims proceed to lawsuits, that's where real issues of evidence and things like that come into play.
I want to say something to everybody here. Your best bet is to get pictures and legal documents from the estimator. You know, that will help you guys out a lot too.
Following these questions, is there a report that Highland Canal was fixed? Like, you guys would have had to not fix it no matter what. Is there a report of that that you're able to see?
So, trying to think, certainly there was work done out. So the question is there a report regarding work done out?
La pregunta de la señora es que, siguiendo la pregunta del señor de ahí atrás acerca de la número 6, que si hay, ella quiere saber si hay un reporte oficial que haya extendido a IID para saber qué poner en cuanto a qué ocurrió.
Certainly, there was work that was done out there.
Yeah, you just have to fix it. Yeah. You guys would have had to fix it. Is there any way to get that report?
So, well, certainly, that's a whole other realm of what you can kind of ask for from the district, but as far as answering directly your question, I have not seen the reports. Certainly, work was done out there, things are associated with that. I have not seen that, so I don't know exactly a title to you, but
La respuesta es que obviamente el trabajo sí se hizo porque las cosas se repararon, pero en el caso particular de él no ha visto un reporte en sí, como preguntaba la señora, si hay un reporte específico de parte de él.
Debería haber un reporte. There should be a report.
is there a report that says report on top and the whole thing? I don't know. Are there documents where that say go out there? There could be.
En sí, como un reporte no lo conocen, pero probablemente hay individuales.
Let me hear you.
Where to put it?
La pregunta de la es ¿qué hago con todo el lobo que está ahí? ¿Lo echo a la calle o qué recomendación me hacer con él?
I don't have, that's a technical question.
I put mine around my yard. Right for
¿Cómo que sí?
Is the IID application has to fill out for each property?
Well, so the answer is, and if, yes, you can, if you learn that it's the same owner of the properties, you can use one claim for. That being said, I've seen people submit different claims. I've seen one piece of property and for every separate damage, they submitted a different claim. That's a lot of work, but I saw it, but if it's multiple properties, and you can clearly list all the properties, it's the same name, and you talk about your damages, different pieces and why, then I do not see an issue.
Okay, so include whatever addresses there are on one document.
And just make it clear as you go through the different questions.
Okay,
La
perfect.
misma pregunta del señor, que si son varias propiedades, tengo que hacer un documento por cada una o todos juntos, no que pueden ser todas juntas, siempre y cuando sea el mismo dueño.
You have to try equipment to bring out of your property, can you sign it? Equipment?
So there's lots of rules. So there's always in every issue, two questions. Liability, and then what can be claimed as a damage, right? So for instance, say, just on any given subject, not on this one, but say a fridge goes bad, right? For damages, you don't get the price of a brand new refrigerator, okay? You get the price of that refrigerator, what someone can buy that refrigerator for. So there's specific rules about what a damage is, and so in the absence of doubt, you know, if you think maybe, I would say put it in.
I have a pond that my house is covered with, and I have a pond going far when it goes in the house. But it goddamn bad. We had mud, flying and everything, so I buy a pump and pump it out. Not purpose,
I would say, if you're talking about an event, I would put in everything associated with it. Yes, sir.
I keep hearing the owner, and then I heard the person on the IID. Two different things. Can you explain that?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I'm hearing, someone said, the person on the IID bill, you fill this out. And I'm hearing the owner of the property. So, can you clarify that?
Sure. I would say generally, if you wanted to submit a claim associated with your bill, put the name on the bill. But if you have property, the person who, if the damage is to real property, the person's name and claim is the person that owns the real property. If you have someone else, you know, someone who did not receive that injury cannot.
Voy a meterme aquí porque es importante. Por si alguien tiene la duda que el señor está diciendo, escuchó en dos cosas. Una, si tenemos que poner el nombre del dueño de la propiedad o de la persona con la cual le llega el recibo de luz. Y la respuesta que dio Jeff es dependiendo del caso. Hay muchas veces que recibimos claims que son, se nos fue la luz, algo relativo a tu servicio de luz. En ese caso, la persona que está a nombre de recibo es la que puede recibir compensación. En este caso no tiene que ver con la luz, o algo con el agua, entonces la recomendación es pongan el nombre del dueño de la propiedad o las propiedades.
Has the IID reached out to the air pollution regarding all the dust? Or no, solve the problem, you know, there's so many people here with asthma and that just created more dust and health issues. Yeah. Has the IID reached out or outsourced?
I'm not aware. I can't tell you no, but yes, I just don't know.
Yes, ma'am.
If I didn't have like a lot of property damage, a lot of mud in my property, and like my neighbor, we only have like clean, could that be damaged?
I would submit that.
I mean, but it could be a, clean could be a damage.
I would submit what damage and how much it costs you to repair it.
Clean it.
What if you're doing it yourself, shoveling all this stuff out, what do you do then? How do you repay that?
Time is money. So, I think that if you cleaned it for yourself, you have to put that in the claim as well. That's time and money. You're working for cleaning up something that was done by somebody else. So you're gonna add that in your claim. For the landowners like yourself, if you have tenants living in those properties, you file a claim for your homeowners and their property, but the people can file a claim, the tenants, for their items that were damaged inside the property. All that needs to be included in these claims in detail, exactly like how she said. You know, put a quote of what a speeding is worth. Make sure that you add up their numbers so they see what it is. And what she said earlier about numbers, you gotta make them, you gotta, you know, make them shake. They gotta see that it's not just one person. I don't know how many things have been done, but I bet you that it's been maybe very minimal to compare to what really it is. And we're letting the clock go by. The longer it takes, the longer we tend to forget things, and we don't want to forget the things that we need to make sure that it's on this plate. Everybody needs to get together, like she said, that she's going to answer questions, so am I, and everybody you have 6 months. Okay, that's March 1st. We're already basically in November. Okay, this happened September 1st. The clock is ticking.
I just want to say that I have, videos, right when the flood came in, when it ended. I measured the inches of water, I have all that documented, everything.
And you did have annual table after the meeting?
Yes, I have,
Yes, ma'am.
So in my form, and again, this is about my form, I will make a couple bold accusations toward the IID. I would like to substantiate them so they are not just fluff. They are based on videos that we have that show that the siphon gates were not open, meaning the canal, the lower canal, Highland Canal was. No, I have a question. If you would please let me ask my question. Thank you. Is that public knowledge at the IID that I can access the data, for instance, when the IID opens the gates, closes that, or is that just internal data that a person like me from the public would have no access to?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that question, so there's a Public Records Act that I'm sure you're aware of.
Yes.
I've never thought about that before.
Well, it usually wouldn't come up, right? This is a unique situation. So, who at the IID would be the person for me to approach to say, hey, what is the Public, Information Act? What can I access? Where's that data? How would I go about it?
So I'm the person that ultimately receives the Public Act request.
Okay.
So I'm the.
Okay.
You can send it to me.
That sounds good.
You can send the request to me.
Yes.
And then I have to respond to you within so many days.
Yes.
And we go through a process.
Because I would like to do that first before I submit my form, because I want to make sure I have my accusation substantiated outside of just showing videos. Okay, great, thank you.
Pregunta, ¿hay alguien que necesita traducción? O mejor, que calle para que sea más rápido esto. ¿Todo el mundo entiende? ¿Estamos bien?
No, yo pienso que sí debe de traducir.
¿Sí?
Porque hay muchas cosas que no van a-
Ok, por eso estoy preguntando. Ok, entonces, si alguien quiere que siga traduciendo, ok. So, la señora tiene una pregunta específica, quiere saber si hay un documento que pueda ella pedir acerca de cómo se abren y cierran las compuertas. Y lo que Jerry dijo, él no sabe de que exista, sin embargo, hay un procedimiento para cualquiera de nosotros pedir información a una dependencia del gobierno como IID, que es pedir información de dominio público. Y ella quería preguntar a quién se lo manda, le contestó que es a él, así que si alguien tiene algo que quiere pedir información específica a través de lo que se llama información de dominio público, tiene que ser una petición a través del Departamento Legal.
Any other questions for me regarding the process or?
Acerca del proceso o la forma.
That's going to flood, but it's not necessarily a form. It's actually just like an ongoing problem after the flood. See where I currently live, it's on the actual canal that they have to dig out. And we have 15-foot, if not higher, piles of mud that are lining our entire road and our houses, that we're having to breathe in every day and is actually knocking over telephone poles. So is that something that we address on this form as well, or is that something else?
Ella dice que cuando hicieron las labores de limpieza, obviamente se generó mucho lodo que se puso en pilas nada más, que están obstruyendo calles o causando otros problemas. Quiere saber si eso es algo que pudiera ser parte del claim.
It sounds like to me that's something more operational as opposed to a damage. So that's something I can. There's people at IID and I certainly can bring that message back. But I would encourage you to contact.
We had like dead fish rotting on the side of the road, like dug it out of the canal, and it was all kinds of stuff, but still, you can see the telephone poles all leaning over on the road, and they're all over, like, they're held on the electric posts, and it just doesn't seem to be something that I cares about, because they drive up and down the road at least 3 or 4 times a day, and they don't even know that, because they said they don't know what they're supposed to do with it. So I was just wondering if that was something that you could gotten it on the website, but we haven't gotten any information.
That's something I'm talking to some of the people, other people at IID about as well. And I encourage you to continue to have a continued concern to bring that up.
We're having to dig through it to get to like our driveways where our cars park. We have to dig like, when my friend, she's been digging on it for about a week now, and she's just now gotten a path through one of the spots so that she can get to the road from a major wash where the water were to hit that again. Not only would it flood back up into her house, but that's a major wash that now being blocked with just about concrete. The silt that they took out of the bottom of the canal is like a concrete thing.
Do you mind if I ask you for your name?
My name is Victoria Russell.
And do you live on the High Line? Where do you live?
I live on the Highline Canal, 368 Highline Canal.
No es una respuesta que sabe de memoria, pero va a aclarar con los lugares y yo le conozco a la señora, me imagino que la va a contactar. Mi pregunta es, el problema de la lluvia para mí no ha terminado, porque todo el lodo que se trajo, que vino ya sea del agua de la lluvia, se acumuló en las casas. Entonces todas las personas empezaron a sacar tierra, todo, y lo acumularon en las esquinas de los callejones o en la esquina de sus casas. Ahora, cuando viene la temporada del aire, que hace 2 días estaba haciendo frío, todo ese polvo empezó a andar por todas las calles y entrar a las casas.
I want her to go next, so we're gonna wrap this up.
Y ahora estamos con ese otro problema. Hay una avenida que si ese daño que viene siendo a nuestra salud es bastante lluvia todavía. So the question that the gentleman has is that he says that he's concerned that with all that mud that was piled up and is dry now, as he dries out, there's dust and he's wondering that is also something that can be put into.
I certainly, one of the general purposes that Director Doc Center came and asked for me to be here today. It's not usual that I come here and go through this, but she asked to make sure that everybody was aware of the process and could avail themselves of the process. And that's the purpose and the reason I'm here today, to make sure the process is open and you have access to it. And in that vein, I would say, if you think you have a damage from whatever source, I would file a claim.
La respuesta es la razón principal por la que estamos aquí, a petición de la doctora Dockster, especialmente para aclarar sus preguntas y hablar del proceso del claim. Como se ha dicho hasta ahorita, en el caso de la duda del señor, cualquier cosa que ustedes consideren que es un daño que ocurrió ese día o que sigue ocurriendo hasta ahorita, pongan parte de sus
So I think you've heard enough from me at this point. I'll
ya
turn it back
saltaron
to
de
you.
él.
Thank you.
I have part 2 of the program.
Esto se acaba, viene la parte 2.
Where'd they go? It's Sandra. I do want to let you know about me, about our program. She knows it backwards and forwards. I'm going to turn it over to her, but if you qualify, you can get a reduction on your energy bill. You won't do it today because, like I said, it's like going to the DMV. You won't have your paperwork. We are going to come back. We're going to host a clinic. If you do qualify when she gets finished and you know this is something you want and you don't want to wait for the clinic, you're more than welcome to go to Brawley and do it faster. Sorry.
La parte 2, por favor, pongan atención, esto es muy importante. Tenemos nosotros muchos programas muy buenos, donde me imagino que una gran parte de ustedes pueden calificar si es que no forman parte de ellos, que realmente es a darles unos descuentos muy sustanciales en lo que son sus recibos de luz. Entonces Sandra es la especialista, les va a hacer la presentación, pero les pedimos que por favor pongan atención porque se sorprenderán ustedes. Yo les puedo decir esto, tenemos una gran parte de las gentes que cumplen los requisitos para esos programas o no los conocen o los conocen y les da flojera o no le dan importancia. Yo les puedo hablar de que es dinero real que todos ustedes pueden estar ahorrando para ponerlo para mejores usos. Sandra, ¿lo necesitas o tú puedes?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Gracias por estar aquí a todos. Buenas tardes. Les voy a explicar un poco del programa de descuento. I will explain in English and Spanish in regards to residential energy assistance program. So this program is based on income. I do have applications. If at the end you guys want an extra, you're more than welcome. We have, it's limited for people in the amount. If you have any questions, if you think you can apply or qualify, you can always ask me or come to my phone. Este programa es basado en ingresos dependiendo de las personas que vivan en casa y las cantidades que entren a casa como ganancias. Todo tipo de ingreso se reporta. Esto lo pueden hacer en persona, por correo electrónico o fax. You can apply in the office, by mail. We have prepaid applications you can mail in, fax or email. We also have another type of discount that if you know people that have medical equipment, you can also apply for this. But this form is to be signed by your doctor. So, este otro tipo de descuento para las personas que tienen aparatos médicos en casa. No tienen que ser ustedes cualquier persona que viva con ustedes. It doesn't have to be the account holder, but if that person lives in your house, you guys can apply. You can have both of the discounts. Pueden aplicar a los dos descuentos, pueden tener los dos descuentos. You can have both discounts at the same time. Another benefit of the discount program is we have assistance once every 3 months. This is basically 4 times a year. Winter bills can help you up to $75, summer bills $125. It's a total of $400 per year. Otro beneficio para el descuento es que hay ayudas para pagar su bill una vez cada 3 meses. Los biles de invierno con $75, biles de verano hasta con $125. Es un total de $400 al año que ustedes podrían estar recibiendo. Tenemos la oficina que está más cerca aquí, es en Raleigh. Yo personalmente soy la que estoy la mayoría de veces en Raleigh, estoy lista para ayudarlos. Les pueden tomar sus aplicaciones, lo pueden mandar por correo. Y como hemos hablado, tenemos planeado un día venir y ayudarles personalmente. Ya les voy a explicar ahorita los documentos que van a ocupar. You guys can walk into our office, Raleigh office. I'm the one that is there, so I'll be glad to help you. You guys can take an application and do it by mail, and hopefully we can come one day and do it in person. So basically, how to apply? So it will be the application. It's pretty simple. Name, address, how many people live at home, signature, and the type of income you receive, which is kind of market. We need proof of income. So for 1 month, check stubs, if you get Social Security, any income that comes home, and tax return, whomever filed taxes. If you do not file tax return, you're going to answer that question that asks you if you file taxes or not. So this means, if you don't file tax returns, you just present application and proof of income. So para las personas, ¿cómo aplicar? Es contestar la aplicación y presentar comprobantes de ingreso. Por ejemplo, si es de trabajo, talones de cheques, cerrando seguro social, lo que estén recibiendo. Y las personas que hagan taxis, sus taxis. Si no hacen taxis, contesten la pregunta que dice, ¿hacen taxis? No. So, esas personas nomás presentan la aplicación y comprobante de ingreso. Pero todos pueden aplicar si no están seguros, califico o no califico. Háganlo, no pierde nada. Podemos revisar su información y se benefician de eso.
Para alguien que ya está en ese programa, ¿puedes decirnos cómo pueden ellos acceder a ese dinero que hiciste los 400?
Sí, claro que sí. Aquí tengo, ahorita también si quieren tomar, tengo el número de teléfono. So, como funciona es, cuando lo necesite, lo único que pide esta parte de la ayuda es que estés en el descuento, que ya lo tienes, y que tengas un aviso final. get the pledge for my bill. So you only need two things. Be under the discount program and have a final notice. Every month we have a bill that is due. If I need help, but I'm gonna wait about 7 to 10 days later, that is due, we get a final notice, a reminder on the mail. That's the time that you can call. So I'm under the discount program, I need assistance, I got my final, I can go ahead and pass the number to you or whoever. Anybody can call. The lady or person who answers there will be telling you how much it can help you, or if you need to pay a part and they pay the other part. It's just a simple call. But yeah.
On this program, it is income based, it depends on.
Yes.
Does it also take into account your assets, how much money you have in your bank account, like they, traditionally do with, let's say,
It's
EBT or stuff like that?
So basically what they ask you, another thing, food stamps and Medicare, we don't count those. Only proof of income for the last month and tax return. That's it.
But what I'm saying is, let's say your income is very low, but you have assets, are you being disqualified then, or is it only income based?
Income based, ajá. Y está preguntando que si nada más es basado en income, sí, nomás se presentan comprobantes de ingreso del último mes y taxes. So this is, let's say this is the first time you apply, they're gonna ask you proof of income for the last month and your 2022 tax return, which is the one we filed. Any other questions? ¿Alguna otra pregunta acerca del programa? Si tienen preguntas o hay aplicaciones aquí pueden pasar. If you have any questions, I have applications here that you can take. Thank you. Thank you.
You have any other questions before I sit back down? Thank you very much. And then I did notice Ryan Kelly was here, but he stepped out.
He took a call.
Oh, I wanted to recognize him and thank him very much for being here.
Is he gonna talk?
And thank you all for coming tonight.
That's not.
All your service and really appreciate it. Please accept the meeting. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
So if you do want to read, because we have a closed session.
Vamos a